city council. We just ask for your wisdom, your discernment, your understanding in all things. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. James, could you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I know.
Everybody would run.
Next up, we have agenda approval. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda for tonight?
I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
Can I get a second?
And we had a executive session on
Yes, I'm sorry, I apologize. Where do you want it down here?
at the
At the
very
new,
end.
at the end of new business?
10 instead of under, it's 10 instead of 11, and then make number 10, 11.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of the executive session added?
I make a motion that we approve the agenda with the addition of the executive session.
Can you get a second? No, David, all in favor? Yes, thank you. Okay. Next up is public appearance. So has anybody got anything that they want to bring to the council tonight? You want to come up and talk about your stuff?
Oh, what's that?
You want to come up and talk about your, do you have anything? I know that we met, and I can go through it when I do our, the mayor report. I can just touch base on it.
Oh, okay, I wasn't planning on,
Oh, okay.
I was thinking you were going to present that in the next one.
Okay. Anybody else have anything for tonight? All right. We'll move on to the approval of the minutes for January the 10th, 2022. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes for January 10th, 2022?
Make a motion to approve.
Can I get a second?
Second.
David, all in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Next up is department reports. Lieutenant Downey, would you like to come and give the Cherokee sign?
On a side note, what you sent me didn't come through, if you don't mind, you know.
Do what?
It didn't come through correctly, so,
Well, I apologize.
no, it's fine.
Well, it's
but-
very simple for this month. We had an accident on the, I believe it was Dogwood, and then we had a suspicious person or auto that was called in the post office that was gone before the deputies got here. But I do want to encourage everyone, here lately, we've had a lot of, not necessarily up here, but thefts and stuff going on in the area. If you see people out of place or that you know don't belong in your area, please call 911. Let us come out and identify them, find out what their business is there, and that just helps us cut down on a lot of stuff. I know that y'all had decided on the cameras. I want to share a quick story. I don't know if y'all saw the gentleman that had went missing, and we were able to track him through the flock system. So I just wanted to reiterate to the council that those cameras are going to play a big role moving forward, and it's not just criminal activity, but it's also helping people that get lost in our community and get turned around. But they ended up finding him probably 100 miles from here, and so that was actually pretty cool to see those cameras work in place. So again, we thank you from the sheriff's office, and it will definitely help us down the road.
Awesome.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Downey. Next up is the mayor's report. We did set a work session for February the 10th with Michael Kidd to review the parks. I'd like to call into the mayor and LJ. We played phone tag actually on Friday, and I called him today and left him another message to find out where he got his equipment from, and so we could look at something down here, and then we can do that, get it started. So, I know that, did we send another letter to ask Virgil to clean off that spot? Yeah, you did? Have we heard back from him at all? Okay. We'll send one more and tell him that it has to be cleaned off by a certain date so we can get it surveyed.
I gave the timeline, we have to
Did
do
you?
it.
Okay, we do. Okay. So I want to know.
Send a copy.
Good job. And then we can do that, and then we get the place that we can order the playground equipment, we'll get that or pass some stuff around where everybody can take a look at it and decide what we want that area to look like. Okay, next up is, we have been able to locate a piece of property for lease, for our trash trucks. It's an acre, and in the process of discussing that right now. So we may need a contract shortly. I don't know. We'll finish talking about, dollars and things like that with the council when we have our executive session. So, but that is good news. And then I had a meeting with Kim Bear yesterday to discuss our first event, which was the Easter event, joint with the city. And she's got all her ducks in a row and they're checking on some things. So I wanted to ask you a question. We're partnering with them. They're gonna head it up and man it and all the good stuff. But if we contacted a group that does bounce houses and had them come in and set up, and we paid them just a setup fee to come in and do it, and then they charge, say, $2 per person and had a waiver, they had their own waiver, they had their own insurance, that would relieve the city, correct?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure, that's what I thought. So that's my suggestion, is, and then they could pass out little, I think the last time that I went to one, they passed out their like a hand sanitizer and a little thing, so if people wanted to rent bounce houses or something from them. So it was kind of like free advertising for them, and we just paid a setup fee as part of it. But does anybody remember how many eggs that we did for that event, the first one that we held? Was it 500 or was it 750? Do you remember?
Was a lot.
I know we had quite a bit of people at that event, but I don't remember how many, and that's one of the things that we were talking about. So my thought was to plan for 100 people. Does everybody think that's a pretty good number?
Yeah, it just depends on the weather, I'm sure.
Well, that's the other thing we talked about. We have 2 dates, and there's a rain out date, which I'm going to give more information, and we're trying to get some prices now, but I told them that Kelsey would buy the food just like we've done in the past. That way it's already done. We can do that through Costco and get our discount. Then I'm going to check on the bounce house stuff. They're going to check on, we'll have Ricky set the field up like he's always set it up, and then put a couple of tents out. We're going to try to do everything on the field this year rather than in the parking lot. I'm praying that it don't rain. And then every time we plan an event, it rains. We're not kidding. But we've got a rain out date, so hopefully it'll work out for the community. But anyway, it's coming along nicely. Thank you for your information, and I look forward to meeting with you and your group.
Thank you. We'll try to formalize it all so that by the next one, we'll have everything.
I really think the key to it's going to be advertising and just getting it out there. We're going to put it on our website. We're going to put it on our Facebook page. I know Laurel Lake's going to put it on Front Door, I believe.
Next door?
Next door. I always say front door, but it's next door.
Back door?
Yeah, back door. So that, and I know that they're working there. They've got a committee over, you guys got a committee over here that's working. So I think this will be a good one if we can stay the rain.
Yeah.
Our project down here, our SPLOST project is coming right along. And I did get an email which I left laying on my desk, so I printed it off. But it's coming right along, and I have asked her to come to our next meeting in March and give a formal update. And if it's not her, it'll be her. Josh. Yeah, Josh will come. Okay. Anything else? Do you guys have anything for me? No? Okay. We'll go from that right into our finances then with Miss Miranda.
So, currently we are running at, over here, we have 63.7% of our budget remaining for this year. That is as of January 31st. We should be at least 58% or more, so we're doing really good. It's about 4% under budget. I'll go on to bank balances. All right, so general fund, $866,453. Special Reserve Fund 3 is $60,194. SPLOST 4 is $530,855. SPLOST 2, which is the old Pickens, is $443,951. SPLOST 5, that's the new Cherokee, is $644,873. The cash reserve, $166,581. SPLOST, the new Pickens SPLOST 2020 is $450,825. And then the grant funds, we are sitting at $155,414. All transactions are up to date and accounted for on these balances.
Can I ask a real quick question? The funds, that's the grant money here?
Yes.
Have we just wrote a check out of that for the last invoice we had for the project, we wrote a check. So it's not really done.
So we're expecting more invoices, right? Do we know how much is outstanding? for
Well,
the
that's
project?
one of the things that I was gonna mention. I would like to get with you and get a full encumbrance list of where we're at and what we have kind of in the balance, so that way we can make sure that, I know we're kind of a general idea, but, yeah. That is the balance after we paid that $130.
I think so, and then we still have to take out the stuff for the bonuses for sanitation and maintenance.
Gotcha.
We haven't been moving from that either, but we cannot go in and do anything as far as reporting. They haven't opened the portal yet. I don't think it opens till maybe some point this month, maybe not till next month. The first reporting period isn't until April. And then I don't think that next tranche is going to be until maybe the summer or beginning of fall, just after reading. So that's what I've come across so far. So the funds are there, we will get them. But we just don't-
And be thinking too about those three stormwater projects that we got, Hillside, School Street, and is it Johnson? I think that's the other one.
Well, that's,
Cherokee.
Hillside and Cherokee were combined.
Hillside, Cherokee, okay. And then
that's kind of what I want to get a kind of a, I have my spreadsheet that I've been going off of, but I want to get a better understanding of where we're at.
I think that's a great way, and I don't
'Cause I know
know if you
we-
guys can comment, but I think that's a great way to allocate those funds rather than trying to just find a way to spend them. If we could really work on our infrastructure, that gives us what, 700,000?
We'll have a half million for that grant.
So
That'll be some stuff now, this project.
We can use some on garbage trucks.
Well, that's one of the things that we kind of need. I know that the sanitation truck is listed
What?
on the agenda.
Yeah, well, there were things in there when you were in check.
Right, so we'll just have to kind of look at that, but I mean, obviously, we've got the funds to do what we need to do. We just need to coordinate how we want to
Yes.
allocate them. So,
I just know that some of our infrastructure, the stormwater was kind of pushed out a little bit, and if we could pull that in with some of those dollars, that would be good. So, especially once we get this area fixed in the bowl here. So,
And also, whenever it comes time to do that reporting, that,
Grant.
yes, because it's a federal grant, I'm highly familiar with that whole
Good.
spreadsheet.
Good.
The grant on the walking trails.
I'm waiting, they're supposed to notify us this month, because I actually have it listed on, I have it pulled up on the, as one of the pages that's sitting there, because I went and checked on it twice, and I was thinking that they were gonna notify us in January if we moved to the next phase. That whenever I went back through and read it, it said they go through all the applications, I guess, in January, and then you'll be notified in February whether you move on. Because one of the people that put in an estimate has actually contacted me, and I just told him, I said, once we know if we move on or not, then we know whether we go ahead and move on our own, or if we go to the second phase and keep going trying to get the grant or not. So, don't know anything yet, it's a long way around.
it'll be a good grant if we can get it. I know you had all your ducks in a row, so that was a good thing.
Hopefully.
All right, anything else for finance? Any questions? Okay. We'll move along to unfinished business. City-owned property, 80 Blue Ridge Avenue.
This is a repeat of what was on there a few months ago. We had these two properties combined. The city has a little under 20,000 total in it, just in what we've recently done. I do not have a way to calculate what the city had when they had, when they got a hold of 68 Blue Ridge. The other parcel we had pushed into 80 Blue Ridge, because it was in the early 2000s. So there's not records on expenses that were paid to bring the house down or any expenses incurred at that point. But I've had several people inquire about it, specifically people that are interested in the, that commercial property over there have asked about this property. So I put the copy of the survey on there just because it is currently listed as residential, and it would be a buildable lot for environmental health. But they would have to have a perk test done or whatever.
Be some restrictions on it too,
It-
what she said.
Do what?
She said there'd be restrictions on square footage and stuff.
Oh yeah, well that's why it has to go through them, because they do the perk test and they would dictate the size of the house based on the perk test. And it would still have to meet our, the setbacks, sides and front and rear and all that. And I wanted to make sure that whoever ended up with it wouldn't have problems with them afterwards.
We got that property, 60 for back taxes, plus we had to tear it down.
Yeah, so I know there was some money in it, we just didn't, there's no records on it that I could find. So I know with what's there, we had, and some of it was stuff that was written off, old property taxes that were written off. But there were also expenses incurred in the removal of that house, the survey, so it's just money that's going out and not coming back right now. But especially since we've had several people inquire about it,
What's our options with that?
to auction or to do sale bids.
So it's auction or sealed bids?
Right.
We can use an agent, but they still have to go through that process. So you can advertise it, and this was per check. This is a
Yeah,
suggestion.
yeah.
You can use an agent.
You can advertise it, but you gotta, in order to sell it, you gotta still do some kind of
You have to put
bid
it in the
or
paper.
some kind of bid process or something
Yeah.
like that.
There's still rules and regulations on how we do it, but we can get more exposure by using an agent.
So with the bid process, is fair market value coming there anywhere, or we just take what we get? I mean,
You don't have, just like any other sealed bid, you don't have to accept any offer. You can decide
They're
they're
all
all
minimum.
can
not
you put a
sufficient.
minimum on it? I mean, can you?
You can't, you just decide on the back end whether to accept any of them.
You can't, okay, you
Right.
cannot.
Right. You can have in your minds what you're gonna accept.
You can't advertise a minimum.
Right, that's correct.
Okay.
You can just reject all the bids if you're
So you said bid or auction. If you auction it, you really don't have, it just goes for what it goes for.
True.
Yes.
That's right.
Okay. A bid you can turn down.
Yes.
So that's the difference in two, okay. Any thoughts on that, council?
I'd like to wait and see what we can do with this other thing before but I ain't got no problem with selling it later if we can't make nothing happen.
Anybody else? Any comments? Okay. Next up is going to be a pole installation at 352 Blue Ridge Avenue. Chelsea, I'll turn that one over to you.
I'm still waiting for an update. I texted them, emailed them, and called them. Whenever it was originally contacted them, it was 7 to 10 days. I don't know if the guy's been ill or what, but I've not gotten information back from him.
Which one is that?
This was the one that's going to put the pole up here. So I know I'm thinking he may end up having COVID or something. Just honestly, I don't know for
Okay.
sure, but just because I know the last interactions I've had with him previously, it was a very quick response. So we did approve the estimate, and that includes the pole itself, the installation of the pole and the electrical service. And that would continue the service up to the.
Is this the one that we put out?
Yes.
And so we just need to vote it on here tonight, please.
I mean, I would rather have it just so it's in the minutes, but it was one of those we needed to just get it done. I just thought it would be done before.
So this is the one that we needed so we could go ahead and accept it, and council approved the $2,210 for that. So just go ahead and let's run through the motion really quick for it while we're in here. That way it's in the minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the advanced electrical service for $2,210?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Okay, James. Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
William, thank you. All in favor? Unanimous. All righty. Sanitation.
I did ask him to get an estimate for the community building too, just because
Okay.
I did meet with him about putting a pole, because it's gonna be the same thing there. but Amcol was gonna be the pole. Dept also heard that they don't have poles. They were supposed to email me some stuff to get it moving, and I haven't gotten stuff from them. This was November and everything.
Okay. All right. Sanitation truck is 8C.
Okay, so I had emailed him too, verifying that this price is still good, and I'm not gonna email back. This was Friday. So as long as the price has not changed, that is the current one. But as far as answering the questions, it does have an Allison transmission, it does have a Cummins engine, and it does have air brakes as long as it's a larger truck.
I talked to,
Okay, I figured you had, but just wanted to clarify because we brought it in the last meeting.
How did that conversation go?
pretty good, he said they're like a year out, like if you order it right now, it'll be next year.
Yeah, and that's for the 2022 models and 2023, did he say?
They want the price will be next year.
Well, that's what he said.
Lock it in.
Well, what he was telling me is that if we purchase it now, and this was a couple of months ago, we were getting 2022, but if we don't do these, then to plan for an additional increase because it had to do with the emission regulations were changing on the 2023 model. So there was going to be another big jump on them.
But to be honest with you, if you think about it, all the prep work, we still need the place, which we may have now, to store the sanitation trucks. We would need to give all the folks in the city notice that we were doing, since we voted on it, we're going to go to the sanitation, citywide sanitation with the city, and then we would also need to go ahead and get the cans and stuff, get those stored. So it's a process. So even if it is a year, say a year out,
We could go ahead
Go ahead and lock it
distribute the
in.
cans, couldn't we?
Well, that's also getting the cans, because right now some of the
Got a
places
year
have
on
halted
there,
production
If
because
there's
of
any overlap,
supplies.
people might end up having to get their own cans for temporarily. I bought 2.
Yeah, we bought them for us, yeah.
Um,
And once everything kind of gets back to normal, the prices could come back down, because they had been around 50, but he said to plan on closer to 75 for right now anyway. Because a bigger city had just put in an order and it was a little bit less than that. So he said if we're not putting in an order quite that size, we plan on 75 can, we should be safe. So,
Is everybody gonna have to use that can or?
I would say you could probably, I know whenever we had Sanitation for a little while, like I had their can, but I would also bring down another can that just had like an extra bag here or there in it, and
Yeah.
didn't usually have issues with them.
What timeframe is the council looking at making the switch to citywide sanitation? You want to do it at the beginning of the fiscal year? Which
It needs to be then, because we do it right over Christmas.
that's going to be July
July.
31st?
No, not fiscal year, physical year.
Of the physical, which would be January 1st?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you might check and see when we can actually get the cans.
Yeah, we need to make sure we have everything and you have the cans
Even if we
before you
don't
make
have the
it
truck, we
mandatory.
should get the people cans.
Well, we have to put a tipper on our current truck, because our current truck doesn't have a tipper, which they can add to it. That can be put on that one.
Well, they can still set the back though.
Exactly.
As long as everything's back.
It's a new truck.
Okay. There's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of back-end work with getting this spot fixed and graded gravel, put a pole barn up and whole 9 yards. So we're looking at a January the 1st start date. We can start communicating that, this summer when we start sending our bills out, so people will be aware of it. Next, anything else on the sanitation truck? Do y'all want to go ahead and vote to order the,
Yeah.
can I get a motion to approve ordering the sanitation truck for $163,583.98?
Do you want to put any leeway in there in case there is a minor change, or do you want me to text you if there is a minor change? Because
Y'all want to
it
do,
should still be fine.
I would go ahead and approve that and the carts as a whole up to like a certain amount.
Is
Is that coming out of this plus?
Yes.
so
How many cars?
I would do it with separate purchases too, though, because
We
it's
have-
going to be, I think, different.
is it 200?
We have 510 households as of the last census, but it ain't, we haven't gotten the latest results.
Okay, let's just say
But you're gonna
500.
need extra cans, you need extra ones, you're gonna probably need an extra 50, because if we're going to damage them, and then it's their responsibility to pay for the can. We have to have them to give out, if that's the case.
So let's say 550, 550 cans.
25, 50, 575.
Okay.
41,250.
41,000. I got that on here.
Mine's mountains.
So, just got, pull your calculator up really fast. So, 163, 163, 583, 98.
We'll just say 164.
Yeah, plus, 41,250. We can get that one approved.
So 205.
So 205K. Can I get a motion to approve 205K for the sanitation truck and cans for the city of Nelson?
I'll make a motion.
James, can I get a second?
A second.
David? All in favor? Unanimous. All righty.
And then your SPOS funds.
Okay, who did you? It was James and David. All right. Next up is new business. Lease the space for the sanitation truck. I've got I guess it wouldn't print, but I have a sketch. I'll show you. There's a spot carved out over here at the end of North Street that is owned by Rio, and they have agreed to lease us an acre. They'll fix the road going in, and we'll be responsible for the gravel. They're gonna put, he said he could put a rock base down for us and then put gravel, and that would be up to us to put a pole barn on there. And we could do a contract. I requested 5 years with a 30-day, if we found a piece of property that we could get out of it with a 30 to 60 day notice, and he said that would be fine. So once I'll show you that when we look at our real estate stuff in here in a few minutes, and then go from there. And I can show everybody the sketch as well. So, any questions on that before we go into executive session? Can I get a motion to go into executive session?
Was it 1 acre spot? They did spot in there.
Yeah, it's 1 acre.
Motion to go into executive session.
That's for real estate?
Mm-hmm. James, and all in favor? Unanimous? Okay. All right, let's adjourn to executive session.